life is always not going to be sunshine. Sometimes it can pour you really hard and leave you feeling hopeless. It doesn't matter how many times you try to get back up, but the fact that you are trying your best should be enough. Every challenge is a blessing in disguise, and that make you come back out it's stronger than ever. Vanakkam, welcome to DOCTORGKO podcast, season 2, challenging and resilient stories. I'm your host, Dr. Rajia Rabi. This episode, we are having a powerful guest, an executive and leadership coach, NLP coach and practitioner, and DISC psychometric profile practitioner. Basically, personally, last year when I entered into LinkedIn, I personally inspired by his posts and articles about leadership. It's none other than Mr. Julian Roberts from UK. Welcome, Mr. Julian. Welcome to
thank
podcast.
You. Pleased to meet you, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I feel very honored, very honored.
Thank you so much. And please tell us about yourself.
What I do, I guess, I'm an executive leadership coach. Something I've been doing for the last number of years, having worked in the corporate world for over 20 years. I pivoted about 4 years ago, and it was that realization I actually realized I actually prefer, got excited when my team did something and won something as opposed to me. I worked in the sales environment, me winning something, and realized actually I like unlocking people's potential. And that got me on my career and pursuit for understanding and training as a coach. And I love working with people. I love seeing people's getting those moments of aha moments and also transforming themselves into something more than they realize they can be. So yeah, that's what I do. And I do that on a one-to-one basis. I do it in group coaching as well. I do various other things as well with people, and sometimes webinars, seminars as well.
That's interesting. And I think you are a podcast host also, right? You are running your own podcast.
Yes, I do 2 podcasts. I got my own one, helping organizations thrive, and then I team up with another coach, and we call Kerry Davis Monroe, and we do coaching conversations. So we interview coaches. So yeah, so it's that's been an experience of the last year as well. Yeah. As you know, podcasting is fun and meets lots of different people. It's great.
Yes. We can make a relationship with every parts of the world. Podcasting is absolutely awesome. And share us your joyous moments and what are the life lessons you have learned from that happy moments?
Happy moments. I guess I've got one, which I did an Ironman triathlon a number of years ago, and the reason, I mean, I've got many joyous moments, but this one sort of sticks in my mind because I suppose I didn't think I'd be able to ever complete an Ironman triathlon, and it was one of those things because the reason why I didn't think I could do it is I've got asthma. I had a motorbike accident a number of years ago, which broke my kneecap and everything else. So I had sort of trouble sort of running and everything else. So I had a lot of things that were more challenging. But I remember seeing an event once and thinking, I'd like to do that. But I thought, I don't think I can do that. But I just started to I guess, break it down. I mean, an Ironman is, was it a 2.4 mile swim? It's a 180 kilometers sort of bike ride and then a marathon at the end. So it's quite a task. And I guess what I'd learned through all that is that it's about breaking things down, because often we get inspired by ourselves or what we can do. And so I started to break it down and I started to look at the aspects of the swimming, running and cycling and started to build upon that and day by day, but also realizing, and I did have a lot of setbacks. In fact, it took me another 2 years longer than I anticipated to actually get to the event because I had injuries and I had to deal with all that. And it wasn't just the physical stuff, it's the mental stuff that sets you back as well. And so I learned a lot about resilience in that sense of getting back up, pursuing on, and then an understanding of having people around you as well to really support you in that sense. And so and that's what I've got start to learn a lot more about resilience, just use my own experience of that, of an event, such a big thing, and how I accomplished it. And then even on the actual day itself, you know, it's all well getting to the start, and that's quite an achievement. But actually, on the day itself was quite a task. It was the hottest day in England that year, which was for us, you know, late 20s is really hot, and I struggled in the heat. I got cramp, had a whole host of stuff, and yet I just keep going. And I just remember thinking once, instead of thinking I was on the run and it's really hot, thinking, oh, I've got 42 kilometers to do. I'm just going to do a kilometer and just kept breaking everything down to small pieces, and almost cheering myself on. I have family there as well, but cheering myself on that I made a step closer. Each time I make a step closer, it's a step less to do. And so it built resilience in me. And then obviously I finished it. And although at the time it didn't feel a big achievement, certainly afterwards I felt this sense of, wow, this is brilliant. I've achieved something and been quite significant with it. Yeah. So that was pretty joyous, but huge amounts of learnings for me over that journey of getting there and actually completing it.
Seems like you love challenges. You are exploring your problems. You just convert your obstacles into challenges, and that's why you become very resilient. Yes. And
yeah, I do like challenges. I think I've always learned that for you to grow, for any of us to grow, really, we need to become uncomfortable. Well, because growing means you get uncomfortable because you're doing something slightly out your comfort zone. It's out your skill sets, or it's an unknown territory. And so, you know, I've always put things out there, you know, personally or professionally, that would challenge me. And, you know, I've got a vision to unlock 100,000 leadership potential, and that's huge amounts. But what it does, it causes me to, you know, do various aspects of collaborations, think about scaling my company, and it pushes me outside my comfort zone. And I think it's important to do it that way. And I think visions are big and sort of scary, in a nice sense, motivates you, stirs you on, and pushes you forward. So that's, and it keeps you alive. It keeps you aware of you know, working with other people, how resourceful you come. Because I think as individuals, as people, we're far more powerful in what we can do than we realize, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely will grow on the uncomfort zone only when we deeply look into it. Okay, you have told that you had so many setbacks in your life, and what kind of emotions you have carried during the time?
I guess at those times there was probably frustration. Definitely, you know, I did probably that sort of classic response to change where you get sort of frustrated and angry and cross. I used to get, certainly within my Ironman training, you know, having setbacks of injury where you have to not do anything for 8 weeks is really frustrating because you feel like your goal is slipping away. But I've sort of started to turn that and learn to start to take those moments and not to get caught up with the goal or what you're after, and try to weirdly enjoy those times, which then enable me to perhaps spend more time going for a walk with my children, or just reading a book because I couldn't do all the running. So it's trying to see the silver lining, and that's how I see things. It's not that I go through life thinking everything's all positive and great, because it's not. But actually, when you have challenges, and well, that's an emotional stuff, is what's the silver lining in this? What's the good thing that can come out of this? It means I can do this, and this instead, or there's other things I may do, or things I've never thought of. So that's why I've often sort of have thought of when I've got those frustrated and angry and cross.
Yeah, spending time with family and reading books is a fantastic positive distractions when you are in a frustration, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have any breakthrough in your life? Any turning points which made you realize about yourself, and which
I
turns
guess,
you?
Yeah. If I go back to, you know, this time last year, that wonderful thing that was happening around the world, COVID was hitting everybody, which we weren't entirely sure what was going on with that. I remember my business initially got impacted. I think as a lot of businesses did. I think people went into shock. I work with organizations, so the L&D budget was sort of slashed or wasn't a priority at the time. And initially it threw me, but I did take stock. And then what I started to do, I turned it around and looked, okay, well, how can then, because as a coach, you have this sort of the desire to help people. And what I do, I try and help people unlock their potential, get onto their outcomes. It's something in me. So instead of me worrying about my business and concerned, I started to then think about, okay, how can I help people? And I then started to look at ways of doing sort of free webinars, on helping people lead on certain times. I started to talk and mentor, get alongside leaders. And it initially was great. And it gave me, in some ways, a good distraction. I felt I was doing something rather than just concentrating on what was not happening. And then I think through all that last year, it created a mindset that I then started to open up things. I started a podcast. I launched some online courses. I got into collaborations with people, which I never would. It wasn't even the plan. None of all this was in the plan last year. So it created a bit of a breakthrough in my mindset of bigger things and this whole view of scaling, taking my business a bit more sort of globally. So actually last year, and it's not there yet, still slowly burning away and slowly growing, but it's created for me a difference in my mindset for the future. And I think that's the breakthrough I got through COVID in terms of the whole what happened and how I responded, how I helped, and then how that created these facilitations and collaborations with people and inspirations. And that's continuing now. And this year was really good. I've started really quite fast with new business. But I say it's more about the mindset that has changed within me, which is good. It's made me just think of things far bigger, what could happen.
That's interesting. You just introspect yourself and retrospect, and you were too productive during that period, right? You do volunteer activities like
Yes.
free coaching times and free webinars.
And I think just by sometimes focusing on other people can be really helpful. And also by doing that, I created connections with people. By doing that, I started to realize what else I could do. I started to focus more on resilience, which had already been there, but it came out far more last year. It gave me clarity on, who I was going to work with in terms of the organizations. I started to do things like the podcast I do as well, which is all about helping people and bringing some sort of strategies and inspiration. And so for me, COVID, weirdly, it propelled me into directions which I probably wouldn't have even thought of. But it also, there's the mindset that really sort of changed.
Yes, it's great. It's inspiring only. And being a coach, so I need to start here. What are the lessons, or what are the lessons you have learned, and what are the lessons you need to tell? What are the tips for being resilient wish to tell to the people who are listening this podcast? Yeah, this time is yours. Absolutely, you can share. Yes,
I think for me, and the biggest tip I always say to people about resilience and keeping going is really understanding and knowing your purpose, your why. And I'm talking personal. I'm not talking about your company purpose or mission, although that is helpful. Because I think, I knew that last year what it was that kept me going, and it's like your guiding light. It's like you're climbing to the top of the mountain, and that's your purpose of who you are. You will face challenges, you will face difficulties along the way, and you will get setbacks, and the timing may change in terms of how long it may to fulfill that, but it will keep you going. It will keep the motivation, and ensure we believe in our purpose as well. That's the key thing. So you've got to know it, you've got to believe in it, and then you got to refer back to it when you're faced with challenges, because we will get it, like I did, and you'll get them as well. And then you start to then look at situations and thinking, okay, so this has happened. How can I take this challenge? And I often say, challenges or things that don't go quite right, call it failure or whatever, it's really feedback to you. It's feedback that you're not quite on the right path. You've not quite positioned yourself correctly, and you need to take some learning from it. And I think that mindset of learning is really important. So, I did loads of stuff last year, the first time, and sometimes I didn't do it again because I learned differently, or some things actually I learned and I built upon it. And so, some things work, some things don't. But you got to try these things. And as long as you think, okay, can I learn from this? And they're the ones I tend to focus on. And then the final thing really is, it ties in with, celebrate success, celebrate your key wins. And that could be a small thing. It could be, I've just got a connection with somebody and got a meeting with them, or it could be something else more significant, but also practice that whole sense of gratitude. And I think people don't realize the power of gratitude. It affects us and makes us feel good. It elicits a positive state. Be grateful for small things, big things, and have that sort of gratitude approach to life. And it will do you good, absolutely do you good.
That's nice. So self-awareness is the key, and continuous learning is a process you need to take in your life. And these are the very inspiring things which personally I have learned from this podcast, this episode. And the one thing I personally admire is you just eliminate your frustration by being productive, isn't it? Every time you have told that the thing that you just spend the time with people, helping the people. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's absolutely a fantastic attitude. Everyone should adapt this attitude in order to have that positive mindset, that growth mindset. Definitely, we need to adapt this. Yes, and now please tell us about your company, and you can tell about what are the coaching sessions you are going at present. Yes.
Yeah, so I own my own executive coaching and training business, Julian Roberts Consulting, and you can connect me at julianrobertsconsulting.com. I do one-to-one coaching. I tend to work within organizations. I do individuals, but I tend to go into an organization and then I will coach 2 or 3 sort of leaders, whether emerging leaders or senior leaders, on a one-to-one. I also facilitate sort of group, sort of team coaching. I do sort of leadership workshops as well. At the moment, these are obviously all facilitated online, but will be in person when that's possible. And I also have some leadership and resilience online courses as well. So, and I'm a podcast host as well, sort of helping organizations thrive. So yeah, so that's me really.
Yes, that's awesome. Actually, I have seen the quote in your tagline: helping organizations thrive through coaching and resilience training.
Yes, absolutely.
That's nice. Thank you so much, Mr. Julian, for spending the time with this podcast. And really, we have learned some resilient lessons through your life journey and your words. Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to tell to the audience?
Well, no, just thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure. I love talking to people, and I've seen you followed you on LinkedIn as well. So it's been brilliant. So it's nice to talk to you in person as opposed to just through some messages on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you so much.